What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and in today's episode, I gotta give y'all a recap of the 2022 Las Vegas Summer League. For those of you that don't know, me and my podcast boys from Through the Wire went out there this year to Summer League, and we made it a priority to get out there the very first day. Years ago, I think it was the Zion, Ja Morant, RJ Barrett draft class. We went out to Summer League, and I think we got there like a day or two late, and all of the rookies shut down. Like, no rookies were playing. We missed the jam-packed day of when LeBron showed up. I think it was LeBron and Anthony Davis. This is the year that Kawhi went to the Clippers, so Lou Will and Pat Bev showed up, and it was just super star-studded. And I remember us landing and getting there and being like, damn, we really missed all of the real action, and we showed up for the rest of the Summer League, and it was quite dry and just like nothing else really happened. So this year, even though we have this upcoming trip to Texas, we made sure that we got there the very first day to be able to see the rookies and everybody who was going to show up and be in attendance as far as NBA stars and things like that. And it paid off. We were able to see a lot of debuts, which I'll talk about. We got a chance to see a lot of stars, be around a lot of higher ups in the NBA. Exchange some words with some guys that are high caliber players, and that was super exciting. I always tell people, Through the Wire, we're super humble, we're super modest about who we are and the position we play in sports media. So it feels like anytime we go to these events or we're a part of these things, we never take true advantage of who we are and the credentials that we have to be around certain things. And I'm really proud of us this year for making sure we kind of stuck our chests out there and really pushed our credential as far as we could. And a lot of this Summer League trip, we were able to be around the people in the mix of the actual NBA and be a part of the NBA, and not just be there as like fans or low-key podcasters, but we were really in the mix. There was times where we were sitting in, the media section, and Rob Pelinka would come and take a seat right in front of us like it was nothing. Masai Ujiri just right in front of us like it was nothing. We got guys behind us that work for all type of companies and doing all type of reports, and they're talking about this, that, and the third. Certain stuff that's just I wouldn't even speak about because it's not my business, my place to talk about. But just to be around that atmosphere and hearing so much chatter about all these different things was super interesting. And it reminded me that, like, man, I'm here. This is my job. This is what I do. So that was a cool moment. As far as the players, of course, LeBron made an entrance, and that was dope to see. We were right there when he walked in. Kyrie showed up. Russell Westbrook got a chance to exchange words with Damian Lillard and DeMar DeRozan. And I must say, I told the story on the podcast. I tweeted about it. We meet players all the time. You know what I mean? All-Star weekends and all events and access. Meeting players is not new to us, right? But the DeMar DeRozan exchange was so genuine and refreshing because a lot of times these guys are in constant want. Everybody wants a picture, an autograph, a conversation. Everybody wants their attention. And, in a quick exchange I had with DeMar DeRozan, it was super dope to see him be so genuine and, mindful about, just saying what up and going out of his way to speak and be engaged in a quick conversation. And that right there made me even more of a fan than I already was of him, because I know he don't have to do it. No, these guys are always busy. Got a million things that they could be doing and that they rather be doing. So that was really dope of him to engage with us in a little quick exchange. Now, as far as the players that we got to see, because I believe as soon as we got on the plane or maybe on the way to the airport, there was an alert that went out to all of our phones, and it was an update that said Paolo was being shut down for the rest of the Summer League. And we kind of like laughed to ourselves because we wanted to make sure that we missed that type of thing. Because the last time we came, we remembered we didn't get to see Zion, we didn't get to see Ja. We might have saw a game of RJ Barrett or something like that. So for us to emphasize getting there early to see these guys, and then the day we leave, Paolo gets shut down, we were kind of happy that we went out our way and made it a priority to get there for the very first day. Speaking of Paolo, though, Paolo was super impressive. To see these guys play on TV is one thing, but to see them up close and personal is a whole nother thing. And I mean it when I say this. Paolo was 10 times bigger than I expected or that I ever imagined from watching him at Duke on TV. He was out there at times as the biggest guy. Like, I never was like thinking he was that big. I thought Paolo was maybe 6'9", 6'10"-ish, but he's like on a 6'10", 6'11", damn near 7-foot side of things, and that was really, really crazy to see. He also has the NBA body that you hear a lot, but like, he has a very, very NBA ready body from day one, and it was put on full display. Made a lot of tough shots. Looked like the true #1 pick that I expected him to be, and why I had him as my #1 guy. So it was really, really good to see him go out there and show a lot of his game from the pass and turnaround shots, face up. He had a game-saving block. You know, a lot of just different things with his game I was truly impressed by, and it didn't really feel like he was a rookie in this summer league showcasing. Felt the same way with Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey really came in and, you know, played a lot better than I expected. Was super under control. Had some reps at the point guard. Made some plays. The first play of one of the games, I think it was against the Rockets, they had the design play where he threw the lob to Jalen Duran, and that had the crowd going super crazy to see that lottery connection happen as the first play of the game. Was super dope. Duran was impressive. Josh Christopher of the Rockets, he was super impressive. And I'm going to get to the second-year players. But as far as to continue to go with the rookies, Jabari Smith was interesting. I didn't put a lot of stock into his struggles because I understood and understand the type of player Jabari is and who he and the two players he can potentially be. There's this world where Jabari Smith just continues to develop his game and becomes a guy who can create for himself, and then he's just a superstar because of his shooting ability, his size, and the defensive upside. If you put everything together, plus, you know, a crazy amount of development with the potential that he has because of how youthful he is, that's a star. But then there's a world where Jabari Smith Jr. is a complimentary second, third guy that complements the star, who is like an all-star type player, very, very solid, catch and shoot to space the floor. He's going to defend, going to make some nice tough shots, big shots, and then that's that world that he's in. Me knowing that going into this game, going into the summer league, I already knew there was going to be chances where Jabari could struggle, because right now a big part of his game is his jump shot, and we know from as basketball, shots either fall or they don't some days. And Jabari Smith is definitely going to be a guy where if the shot's not falling, he may not be or look the best, or look, you know, like a guy who's having, you know, a dominant performance, unlike some other guys. Some other guys, their shot not falling, they still can go out and get 7, 8 assists, might snatch 9, 10 rebounds, you know, and find a way to just get to the line or make a tough shot or create something out of nothing, create a big play. Jabari isn't creating for himself. He's not creating for others. And he's really got to hone in on making sure that right now he makes shots. And I knew there was going to be a game or two. Didn't know if it was going to be the first game, the last few games. I knew there was going to be a stretch where Jabari wasn't making shots or wasn't getting the ball enough, because we know the Rockets don't have the best point guard play. And sure enough, it happened. But I didn't take too much stock into that. I love the way that he moved around the floor, showed some defensive flashes. You know, wasn't hesitant when it shot at all. And I do know that there's going to be nights where those shots fall. It's going to be a night where Jabari Smith has 6, 7, 8 3-pointers, and he's going to look like the greatest thing on earth. But it's important for fans to know there's also going to be nights where the shot's not falling and he's not going to look the best, and people shouldn't beat him up too much about it. And that was really my takeaway from Jabari. Those are already things I knew prior going into it. I expected some slow starts or a slow finish of Summer League. He ended up having a really good game, the last game that they played, which was good to see. But I had to say that out there because I know a lot of people was running away with different type of narratives and things like that. Tari Eason, though. Tari Eason was a monster and somebody who really impressed me amongst all of the rookies. I loved his game, the fact that he does not need a play to be designed for him. He's a go-getter. He has a grown man body as well. He's a highlight reel. You know, you get him in any situation where he has a runway and he can put anybody on the floor on a poster. And I think that was super impressive. So his development is something I'm going to watch closely, because if he can develop a handle or some shot creation for himself, sky's the limit for that guy. I don't think he's getting talked about enough. Jaden Hardy, the performance he had against the Chicago Bulls, I was waiting on it. I was expecting it, because a guy like him is made for Summer League. You put him in a situation where there's space, there's very, very small sets. There's really no full offense. He gets to control the basketball, and that's when he's going to be at his best. And I was so glad that he came out the gate with a fire performance, because him falling in the second round was still mind-blowing to me, and still was something that was just tough to see and something I didn't understand. Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham, Ochai Agbaji had a good performance. A lot of these rookies really came out and hooped, and I can go on and on about a bunch of different. Benedict Mathurin. So that was my main thing. And then of course the OKC Thunder. I mean, with Chet, Jalen Williams, J-Dub, both of them, and then Ousmane Dieng, they have like this summer league super team, people were saying, and they were super fun to watch. And again, we're gonna get the second-year players and whatnot. They were, obviously out there with Josh Giddey and Trey Mann and whatnot, but those rookies that they have were very impressive, and I cannot wait to see the development of this full roster and full team, and I can't wait to see them fully together, because all we're seeing right now is small parts and glimpses of them playing with Josh Giddey and Trey Mann. But in a real season, we're talking about Shea, Lou Dort, Darius Bazley, Pokusevski. It's going to be very, very interesting to see this Thunder team and how they perform in a regular season. Now, as far as rookies that kind of disappointed, I will be honest, the Shaedon Sharpe situation was super, that's the perfect word, disappointing. I had no idea that he was getting hurt or that something crazy had happened. I know there was a part where he kind of subbed out and then he disappeared, and I looked to the bench and he was gone. And that was tough, man. I won't lie, that was tough. As many highlights and as many guys that did well, that one probably hurt the most, because there was so much of a mystery with Shaedon Sharpe, and he had hit a corner jump shot that was all net. It was a real nice move. And so once he made that, I'm like, okay, I was expecting a show. I was really expecting him to break out and really make some noise and spice up the summer league. So for him to only have played those few minutes and then disappear, and then the torn labrum and his shoulder or whatnot, and to have him gone for the summer league was probably one of the most disappointing things of the entire trip. Keegan Murray also was phenomenal. I'm trying to make sure I don't forget any rookies. I know a lot of people are going to be like, what about this guy? What about that guy? Like I said, this class was extremely fun to watch. There was a lot of teams that had multiple draft picks, like the Spurs, the Thunder, the Rockets. That was also fun to see. The Pistons. So that was nice. Another disappointing guy was Johnny Davis. Again, kind of like Jabari. Johnny Davis is an aggressive scorer. It's a little different than what he was used to at college. These is another step of level players. And Washington didn't have the best talent, but it was definitely a little disappointing to not see him be able to go full throttle. Dyson Daniels getting hurt, EJ Liddell getting hurt with a significant ACL injury was also tough to see. But as far as second-year players, these are my favorite players to come and watch. A lot of these rookies, of course, are going to be the main topics because we haven't seen them at all in the NBA atmosphere, so that's always exciting on that end. But it's very situational for the rookies. Sometimes they're not even playing a real role that they'll play in the NBA. It's new. The speed may have got them off guard. So it's always, you have to take it with a grain of salt. But these second-year guys, though you still have to take their performances with a grain of salt, for me, it's always how they carry themselves on the floor. It's not so much about the numbers or shooting splits or anything like that, because a lot of these guys, again, are playing roles on summer league teams that they won't play on their real team. There's certain guys that are shooting 15-plus shots who will not shoot 15-plus shots in a regular season. So for me, it's all about how confident they look, how much better they look than anybody else. What did they pick up from playing a year of real NBA basketball or being around real NBA basketball? And the guy that stood out to me off the top of my brain was the Warrior guys. Moses Moody came out and looked super sharp, looked a lot more confident, a lot more stronger. And he looked like he knew exactly what to do, where to be, and how to get the success that he wanted to see. So that was a guy that I really was like, whoa, that's what a year of NBA basketball can do to a young player, especially when it's that type of basketball and system that the Warriors run. So he had a lot of learning he was able to get over the last course of the year, plus the playoffs, and it showed in Summer League. Same thing with Jonathan Kuminga. He had certain parts where there was certain things you were still like, he could be better at that. But overall, there's times when he's on the floor and he looks like he does not belong. He looks like it's just unfair for him to be out there. James Wiseman for a couple of trips was really impressive, especially in that first game against the Spurs when he had the lob dunk from Kuminga, then the block, a jump shot, face-up game. A lot of those guys from the Warriors look like, whew, this could be a scary second half of the Warriors run once those guys continue to get seasoned. It's gonna be crazy to watch that come together out there in Oakland. Josh Primo was a guy that I like to see, just the way he carried himself and played the point guard position. Because I wasn't sure how the Spurs felt about him prior to the DeJounte trade, about him being a point guard, shooting guard, combo guard, whatnot. So to see him kind of, you know, look like a veteran point guard, or not a veteran, but look a little bit more seasoned at the point guard position, was super dope to see. Josh Christopher with the Rockets, I was very happy to see them giving him lead guard reps, because I think that's important for him. And the Rockets, they really need somebody who's going to be able to go out there and play point guard and look to get others involved prior to the scoring aspect of the game. Him, Daishen Nix, they really did play well. But Josh Christopher looked like another level, and he's a guy that I was super impressed and loved his rookie year, and I felt like he went under the radar. So to see him kind of double down and look like he's even taking another step, I think he's going to have a really, really, really good sophomore year. Trey Murphy with the Pelicans, he came out explosive as hell, and I think that's scary for the Pelicans because they have wings galore. Him, Herb, Brandon Ingram, you know, so that was good to see. Trey Murphy getting his confidence to be able to put the ball on the deck. We know what he can do as a catch and shooter, continuing to drive at the rack and the basket. Good things that I think is going to help him going into the next season for a team that's going to really need his production. So Trey Murphy was definitely someone that stood out as well. Trying to think. There's a lot of guys. My Knicks, Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes looked really, really, really good, man. He really looked like he could be a starter for the Knicks. Like, I've always been a big fan of Quentin Grimes because a lot of people forgot how good he was coming out of high school and that he was an All-American and didn't work at Kansas, so he had to transfer to Houston and he kind of fell in the draft. Quentin Grimes got game, and he stood out significantly in this summer league stretch. And the shots he was making, I felt like were real shots he would get within the Knicks offense. And that's the thing that stood out the most with me, and what made me happy as a Knicks fan is like, man, those are the actual attempts and type of looks you're going to get. Because like I said, a lot of this stuff is guys playing out of their role and having a little bit more of a leash, a little bit more opportunity. But to see guys play in certain ways and certain patterns that you'll see replicated in a real season is really refreshing and gives you even more confidence. Chris Duarte was kind of similar with the games he played when Indiana. I can't remember if he played 1 or 2 games, but when I saw him, I was like, okay, he looks exactly how he looked in the role he played for the Indiana Pacers during the regular season. Josh Giddey, of course. It's unfair for Josh Giddey because he's such a wizard with the basketball, and Summer League is such a quick thrown together roster of players. So the fact that you have a Summer League defense with guys that have no chemistry and just met a week ago, he really took advantage of that. And I think it was important for OKC to play him. I know a lot of people was expecting them to pull him after a couple of games, but I think him being out there really helps those rookies and gives Chet and J-Dub and all those type of guys the confidence they need to be able to play well. And it was good to see him forming that relationship with Chet. Because they're going to be good together, especially when we get to see them with Shea. So I love what I saw from Giddey. And other than that, I mean, there's a lot of guys there. Todd, you know, looked real well for the Wizards. I like to see that, of course. And like I said, it was a lot of guys that did a lot of good things. This was a very entertaining summer league that's still going on. Cam Thomas with the Nets was really no surprise. I think Sharif Cooper was a little disappointing with the performances that he had. Jericho Sims was nice. But yeah, like I said, I'm just happy we were able to go. Very, very entertaining summer league. There could be a long list. There's like 50 players you can name who did some good things. I know a lot of people in the comments are going to be like, what about this guy? What about that guy? There's only so many names I can name. But the guys that stood out to me were a lot of those second-year players. Was really entertained by those rookies. I think this is going to be a nice, solid class. And I think a lot of teams are going to be happy with who they were able to walk away with from the draft. Can't wait to go next year. If you are watching this and you've ever wanted to go to Summer League and you're a fan of basketball, I would really suggest you try to find a way to Summer League. I think it's one of the best experiences an NBA fan could have. Not the normal type of basketball atmosphere. You got all of these teams with all of these different fans, and being able to see an early glimpse of second-year players, rookies, being around GMs and certain NBA players just walking around the building at concessions and different things like that. It's a hell of a time, man. I was able to meet a lot of fans of the YouTube and the podcast, and that was also dope. So again, if you're a fan of basketball and you're ever thinking about going, do not hesitate to go. I suggest that you go and get that experience because it's one of a kind. And that was a wrap for 2022 Summer League. For us, it's still going on. So we're still going to have some content probably after, you know, talking about the full Summer League of some of these players. But for my trip, this was a recap. I appreciate y'all. This is NBA Weekly. I'm Pee Wee the Plug, and I'm out. Peace.